I'm going to do this. Hello, I'm going to do this again because you know what? My ego kicks in with these videos, and if I don't feel like that video was good enough, I'll do it again. And I want to do it again because I got a lot to say about this, and I don't think I covered everything I wanted to in the time that I had. Plus people calling me while I'm filming, which is fucking annoying. Seriously. Fucking hell. Anyways, you ever have those days when you see things in the news with relation to stuff that you like, whether it's MMA, boxing, pro wrestling, and you kind of go, I'm interested, and then you think, and then the wheels start turning, and then if you're like me, you want to do a video about this and talk about it. So I'm going to talk about what I saw and stumbled upon. I was at the gym, flicking through Twitter at the end, saw something about Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva, and I thought, is it just one of these fan things? No, actually there's a news source, I think it was MMA Fighting, that put out this story that Nick Diaz had made the comment he would fight Anderson Silva for the right price. Anderson Silva's management then made a comment saying that they would be willing to do that fight as a return fight for Anderson Silva. And I started to think about it, and I'm actually quite interested. So I want to get my thoughts, feelings, how it would go down, why it could happen, and why it's a win-win situation. So first of all, back in the day when Nick was fighting, well, it sounds like back in the day, but a few years back, when Anderson Silva was the top pound for pound fighter at middleweight, when he was destroying guys, I actually wanted to see that fight because I know that Nick had done a few fights at middleweight and Strikeforce are around that weight class, so I know he could make the weight, and I actually wanted to see it, but people weren't really talking about it. Then when Nick started dominating even more in Strikeforce, taking motherfuckers out, taking all these strikers out, I was more interested in seeing that fight than George St. Pierre, personally. Then when Nick moves over back to the UFC and Strikeforce is bought, I thought, you know what? They need to do that fight one day. They have to do that fight. Anderson Silva at that time is running out of big name opponents outside of Chael Sonnen. And why not do that? Why not have Anderson either fight at light heavyweight or fight George St. Pierre? Because I think it makes sense. And no one was really talking about that fight. Then we skip to Nick fighting George St. Pierre and losing, and then Nick kind of having his tantrum and saying, I want to quit, I want a fucking rematch. And then we have him say, I'll fight Anderson Silva. I'll come back and I'll fight Anderson Silva. And that got people talking, but people were like, yeah, that's not going to happen, Nick. Come on, get serious. Anderson's the best in the world. Anderson's got Chris Weidman to fight. Anderson's got a John Jones fight on the horizon. Anderson's got a George St. Pierre fight on the horizon. That's not going to happen. Then Anderson Silva fights Chris Weidman, and Anderson Silva gets knocked out by Chris Weidman. Then Anderson Silva has a rematch with Chris Weidman, and I actually think Weidman looked better in the rematch because Anderson is always excellent within the clinch. I think that's one of his greatest assets. I think he's amazing in the clinch. And Weidman was able to do a lot better in the clinch than Rich Franklin, than Okami, than Marquardt, than anyone else that I have seen fight Anderson Silva. He did so much better. He even punched him within the clinch so hard that Anderson dropped to the ground and Weidman was getting top position. He fought a lot better, checking the leg kicks, and I think that Anderson was going to have a harder time in the rematch with Weidman than the first time. And it looked like, you know what, I wouldn't have been surprised. I'll go out on a limb and I'll stand strong this. I think Weidman probably would have won the rematch. He looked a lot better in the rematch, and I think a lot of people are going to forget that because unfortunately that will be overshadowed by what happened to Anderson as the leg kick was blocked and his leg snapped, which was a very, very sad thing to see. You never ever want to see that happen to someone. And it happened. Unfortunately, Anderson was in a lot of pain holding his leg, and there was a lot of talk about Anderson Silva retiring, never fighting again, the John Jones fight out the window, the St. Pierre fight out the window, Anderson's got nothing to do, Anderson's going to retire, there's no way he can come back from this. Then we see video footage of him rehabbing his leg, and we see he's training, and now he's apparently cleared and he wants to wait till 2015 to fight. And now, in my opinion, with the way that circumstances have arranged themselves, this fight, in my opinion, is almost an inevitable to happen. And in my opinion, why not do the fight? Anderson Silva returning back to fight is a big thing anyways. Why not have him in there with someone? Because you know Anderson's going to want a big fight. He's going to want to make money. He's a businessman. He's smarter than he wants people to believe. When he does this, I don't know, it's not my decision, Dano's decision. We know, really, he knows what he wants. This guy does not fuck about. Let's be real. Why not do him and Nick Diaz? Diaz is a big name. Anderson is a big name. Both of them haven't fought in a long time, either due to injuries or maturity issues in Nick's case, and other things in Nick's case. I don't want to completely slate the fucker, or slate the guy. Shit, oh god, if he sees this, he's going to come and snap my arm. But the fact is, it's like both of them have been away for a while. I think the only way Nick will come back is if you give him a big fight that appeals and appeases his ego. That's going to make him a lot of money, and why not do him and Anderson Silva? And the fact that Nick has said he'll do it for the right price tells me either he wants to get his name in the headlines so we talk about him, which has worked, or he's actually genuinely interested in doing that fight. And I believe he is interested in doing that fight. And to me, it's a win-win situation. You know, if you throw Anderson back into the mix at middleweight right away and he loses, you've kind of hurt yourself there. You know, he needs like a tune-up fight in a sense. If Nick Diaz goes right back into the mix at 170 after not fighting for a while and loses, you've kind of hurt yourself there. So why not do a fight with two people who are roughly around, you know, could believably fight each other at the same weight, whether it's, you know, at middleweight, probably, I'm assuming this would happen. Why not do that fight, but kind of like, or a super catchweight fight or something, or a fun fight, and it's not going to hurt them when they go back into their respective weight classes, in my opinion. And why not do it? Both guys are still relevant. People want to see them in a fight. I know some people said do Bisping and Anderson Silva. Scrap that. Do Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva. In a way, it's kind of a great tune-up fight for both guys who've been off for a very long time. Promotional-wise, it's a fantastic fight to have. I mean, you've got the two personalities, and I mean, I would love to see the interactions between those two, because that would be fantastic. Because if Anderson starts to play those mind games that he plays, you know, like with Chris Weidman, tomorrow night, could you imagine at the weigh-ins him trying to go into Diaz's face, trying to kiss him? Could you imagine Nick Diaz and his brother, how they would react to that? That would be fucking priceless to see. Could you imagine Anderson, tomorrow night, Nick Diaz going, what motherfucker, what, and saying all these stuff that he says to him. I just think that will be fascinating to watch anyways, just with the way that the two personalities are. That is fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them do a UFC primetime for that fight, in my opinion, and do it on Super Bowl weekend, one of the biggest weekends for fights, where everyone's going to watch it and there's more money to be made. Why not do it then? I think it would be a great fight, a fantastic promotional fight to do. And as far as how I think the fight goes, there's a 50-50 chance there. I've always believed that Nick has a legit shot against most of the top contenders at 170 and 185. And I think that Diaz, who is fed up of fighting wrestlers, or fed up of being held down, or fighting guys that aren't really going to fight him or challenge him, I think that Anderson Silva is a breath of fresh air for him. Anderson's fantastic, stand up by MMA standards. Anderson's going to come in there and try and take his head off a bit. Nick Diaz is going to try and do the same thing. Diaz has even gone out and said that he's got better stand-up than Anderson Silva, and I could see Diaz getting in his head a little bit, Anderson trying to get in Diaz's head a little bit, and to me it's just such a fascinating fight to watch. And more than that, fans want to see it. Well, I speak for myself. I want to see it, but I want to know, do you want to see it? Do you think this fight is a possibility? Do you think this fight is a good idea? When do you think it will happen? Do you think it's going to happen? I think the UFC should do it. Listen, they always say, we put on the fights that the fans want to see. Fans want to see this fight. Fans want to see that fight. We'll make it happen. Well, guess what? You have two guys under contract that we want to see fight. We want to see clash. And it's a win-win situation. No one gets hurt there, and more than anything, the fans benefit from it. So why not give the fans a fight they want to see? Diaz and Anderson Silva, make it happen. Super Bowl weekend. I swear to God, please, please, please. I mean, do you like money? UFC, do you like money? Do you want money? Make the fight happen, and we will give you the money to see it. We will pay to see it. It's a big fight, and I'll tell you what, they've been running out of big fights as of late. With all these injuries and all these things that have happened, I think they just need to start taking some risks. And in my opinion, this is a calculated and safe risk to take. Make it happen. I want to see it. Now I want to know what people out here think. Do you want to see Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva have this fight? Do you think it's a possibility? Who do you think is going to win? How do you think it's going to go down? What weight class is it going to happen at? How do you think Anderson's going to look? How do you think Nick's going to look? And I will also say I think Nick has a very good shot at winning this fight. This is a guy that fought Takanori Gomi when Gomi was the knockout king and destroying guys, the fireball kid, all of that, and was the best lightweight in the world, and then Diaz came out and destroyed him. So it's believable. Nick has fought these guys with that aura, with the exception of George St. Pierre. Nick has fought these guys with that kind of aura and then come out and destroyed them. And I think that Nick, you know, he will actually come out to fight Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva will come out to fight Nick Diaz. I think it's a great fight. Make it happen. God, please. There's a guy up there. Make it happen, alright? Alright, anyways, I'm going to go. Comment, rate, let me know what you think. Please let me know what you think. Check out my other videos and hit that subscribe button. Peace.